Okay, we're gonna do this one my way because earlier I did a video and it ended up being like I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 parts long. What I mean by that, it was like 4 or 5 different parts that I would have had to edit, smush, chop, crop, all that bullshit in order to put together. But I do that shit because I love y'all. But I got something better for you. And besides that, I got my head cracked. Like I got on YouTube and like 20 of the people had already reported, exactly, basically to the T, what every word that I had to say to you guys, my lovely, beautiful, sexy audience. But today, it was reported that Nick Diaz will reportedly accept the fight with Anderson Silva if the money's right. Now, this news coming. Let's see. I'll give you exactly this news came out exactly 1 hour ago. Don't know how long it's going to take to get on YouTube. Probably another hour. This news is 2 hours old. So reportedly, and this is coming from the nose, Ariel Hawani himself, and the nose, my friend, knows. According to UFC Tonight interview with Ed Soares, who, if you don't know, is Anderson Silva's manager, the Ultimate Cheetah's manager. Pretty much, if you're a big star in Brazil and you fight in the UFC, Ed Soares is your A translator, B manager, C pretty much douchebag. I don't like the guy. Way off topic. Nick Diaz will accept a fight with Anderson Silva in early 2015 if the money's right. Now, I said this in my old video, but I didn't get a chance to post it. Like I said, a lot of people beat me to it, but Nick Diaz, I mean the UFC rather, needs this fight. It doesn't get any better than this. In combat sports, it does not get any better than this. Nick has ferocious boxing, as does Anderson. Nick has ferocious and top tier ground game. Joe Rogan says it all the time. There are several different levels of being a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There's several different levels of grappling. Nurmagomedov is a perfect example of what a really top tier grappler is capable of doing, and he is just steamrolling fools, right? Nick Diaz does this. He eats people alive against the cage, right? He has such wicked body shots, probably the best body shots in MMA. Anderson Silva fights at middleweight. Nick Diaz fights at welterweight. Both of them have their last 2 fights were for a UFC title, and they lost both of them. Anderson losing twice to the same man in Chris Weidman, and Nick Diaz, of course, losing a controversial, very controversial. I think he won 1-2-1-2-5, son. That's what it is, 1-2-5. And I love Carlos Condit, but he won rounds 1, 2, and 5. It's clear as day. But anyway, they weren't watching the same fight as a lot of us were. So he loses to Condit, comes back a year later, fights GSP, and pretty much gets out grappled. Standard GSP fight. Nothing different about the Nick Diaz fight as there was about the fucking any other fight that George had with a decent opponent. It was just Nick hit him with a few good shots. You could see the ring rust clearly on Nick Diaz. That's one thing I'm worried about. But Anderson Silva is 40 years old now. When you turn 40 years old and start to look at like he's looked in his prior 2 fights against Weidman. Now, is Weidman just that good, or did Anderson finally wake up and realize, fuck, I'm 40, I mean, he's thrown how many leg kicks in his career, do you think? I mean, in his career, what I mean by that is not just in a fight, but in training, in learning Muay Thai, just practice, in the gym, UFC, Cage Rage, King of the Cage, in Pride Fighting Championships, in his amateur pro career, training and fighting, amateur and professional, he's probably thrown a million leg kicks. He threw, a couple decent ones. Chris Weidman simply, he calls it knee on shin. He turned his right knee inward, and Anderson kicked it with his shin, and it broke in half. And anyone that understands this injury or saw this injury happen, this is a career-ending injury, and not just to fighters, not just to people, not just for athletes. This happens to roofers, contractors. I mean, this can happen to anybody. I know personally a member of my family, the identical injury happened to him a month after Anderson, and he's doing tons of rehab. He's slightly older, about 5 years older than Anderson. He's never going to be the same. Never going to be the same. I mean, that leg will never heal properly. I know I've heard talk of the underground and people saying, well, now Anderson's got a titanium leg, but he's not going to be like a fucking, he's not, he's already a freak of nature, right? Just because you have a titanium rod in your leg does not make you all of a sudden a fucking, you know, uh, it doesn't make you any tougher, really. It makes your leg weaker. He's most certainly, getting up there in age, and it showed. It showed. Nick Diaz, however, is simply 30 years old. I believe would definitely be showing some ring rust, but is still in the prime of his career. Younger brother Nate, we're going to see him back in the octagon. I did read that by this year. That's good. I'll have more on that later. Nick Diaz will fight Silva if the money's right. Doesn't get any better than this. The UFC needs this. Dana needs this. The Fertitta brothers need this. Zuffa needs this fight to happen. And us as fans. If you don't, one of these men, you're a fan of. And if you're not a fight fan. I'm a fan of both. I'm a huge Nick Diaz fan. Shout out to Nick Diaz, by the way. Nick Diaz made this channel what it is today. He liked, I think, 3 videos, and it showed on his feed, and I just blew up, and then he subscribed. Nick is cool as hell. Look, he's a down to earth guy. He's fucking brash. He's your everyday guy. Anderson Silva's a fucking freak of nature from Brazil, wicked Muay Thai. At one point, he was the perfect example of what a perfectly well-rounded mixed martial artist looks like when they fight. Nick Diaz, however, relies more so on his boxing technique combined with top tier level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This is the way that they feel comfortable fighting. And they're confident in this style. They're confident that this style, if used properly, can win any fight, can beat anybody. And I love that about them. I love that they don't change their style. They believe. So they have this ultimate belief in themselves. This is the way we fight. This is the way we are. They're not going to change for anybody. But I'll tell you what. If this fight doesn't happen because of a money issue, what's Nick asking? $500,000? I guarantee Anderson will make 4 times that. And Nick might ask for a little bit more. But regardless what it costs, this is a big money super fight. It has to take place in some sort of catch weight. At least I hope so. But then again, when George St. Pierre and Anderson Silva were supposed to fight, I believe there was talks of GSP going up to 185. And if you recall, there was talk of Nick Diaz going up to middleweight as well to fight Lyoto Machida early or mid 2000 last year. There was talk of him going to middleweight to fight Machida. He's fought bigger guys. He's fought Frank Shamrock. Cyborg's fucking enormous. And he's fought as low as 160. I think he weighed 161 when he fought Gomi and Pride and finished him with the Gogoplata. Nick Diaz is a stellar fighter. Anderson Silva, for 7-8 years, was looked at as the fighter, the ultimate fighter, the greatest mixed martial artist this world has ever seen. Nick Diaz has a chance to get into the cage and show that he can beat a man of that with that status. And let's just say he doesn't matter to me. We all win as long as this fight goes down. UFC, pay this man. Paul Silva 101. I'm sorry, split decision, MMA. I'm gonna roll with this for another few months, see how it works out. But I'm Paul Silva. You're my nation, and I love you to death. Shout out to Beer Drank Shorty, Mr. Coldwater Canyon, Caleb Cole. Digging your new channel, bro. Loving the new channel. Positivity. There's not nearly enough of it, especially on the internet. Shout out to Caleb Cole. Shout out to DJ. Shout out to Nick Diaz, BJ Penn, Chael Sonnen, and all my other awesome subscribers. Oh yeah, oh man, my man with the eating disorder, Pika. Shoe Nice. What's up, Shoe Nice? Let me know if you like this video, Shoe Nice. Paul Silva 101 out. Hopefully, I'll be first to report this.